Future of work, that's the title of the day. When I think of the future, I think of AI, digitalization, among other things, net zero. Yeah, we've all got to cool the planet and reduce carbon. Any of those themes? Let's start with net zero. Obviously, Zach, really big at your company. How have you implemented has it been a very fast change, or have you done it over decades? And what's driving you at British Sugar? Is it your customers? Is it your conscience? What's driving the net zero?
That's a great question. It's been quite a rapid change. I would say it is in the last 10 years where we've really started to expedite dropping our carbon footprint. Initially, I think it's not customers that were driving it. The government actually offers the right level of incentive through its carbon tax credit schemes. That's sort of the first impetus to do so. But the moral responsibility as a business is definitely there, and certainly the culture within our business and the people that work there, we want to be greener. I mean, we've just seen the end of coal at our sites. You must think it's the 1970s, but in the last year we've just stopped using coal to dry our pulp. We now moved on to gas. It's still not green, but it's greener. And then, moving forwards, our customers are now starting to come out of the woodwork, and it is a key requirement for them. So I think if we don't decarbonise over the next 5 years, the bigger customers, the blue chip companies that you'd all recognise, I'm not say them in front of the camera, but they would start to take their business away from us and give it to our competitors that were greener. So it will be the final nail in the coffin if we don't decarbonise. There's
demand pull and there's supply push. Yeah, you need it up the chain. Will?
I think for us, our journey started 10 years ago, and it's sort of a trifecta of things. It's we want the best young people to come and join our business, and it seems more and more young people are interested in sustainability. Also for us, it was a financial draw as well. You know, most of the things we've done up till now have been financially beneficial to us. Also, I think it also came about with me having a young family as well. And you start, as a family business, we think quite a long way ahead anyway, but I think as you have your own children, you start thinking even further ahead. So I think for us, obviously, we're less carbon intensive than British Sugar. You know, they're a massive power user. We've reduced our scope 1 and scope 2, so stuff we burn on site and electricity we use, by 75% in the last 10 years, which is, you know, is now getting a bit harder. You know, we've done the simple things. The factory that Jed works in produces more power in a year than it consumes in a year. Fair enough, in the summer we've got too much power, and in the winter we haven't got enough. But I think, you know, it's, if you want your future employees to be thinking about these things, because they won't survive as a business moving forward because customers will demand that. I think it's, you know, it's quite an important metric.
Just one second, Yvonne. Now, lads, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but have a little think if you want to talk about sustainability, something you're doing at school. If you don't, it's fine, we can switch, but have a think and I'll come back to you. Yvonne?
Just 3 quick points. First of all, Icon Beer. There's been a recent project done by all the college groups across this area, and basically, if you look on Icon Beer, every picture, a profile of a person doing a job that's shaded green, there's either an element of sustainability in that job or it's entirely sustainable. So if you want to look for green that way. Secondarily, banks. Love them or hate them, the single biggest profit centre in this country, 53.6 billion they made last year, they will not fund anything that is not showing its movement into sustainability. They are pulling the funding. Third, shipping. We are looking at future fuels, future designs of ships, some of the futuristic stuff. Listening to Mike, I'm working with a guy in Japan who's actually working to produce high-octane seaweed aviation fuel. Oh. So don't think about the fuels. We're working on all the high-tech greener fuels. What do we need? What's that all about? Chemistry, process engineering. These are the skills that as we change our world, we need your help. So please don't think we're standing still. We're not.
So manufacturing and engineering is a route to decarbonise the world. So when you're thinking about careers, that's a really important message. Sarah, a quick comment. I mean, clearly a nuclear power station, the whole kind of basis or remit of that is to cut carbon. It's a very low carbon energy source. But in terms of your work at Laing O'Rourke and the construction industry generally, it's a big carbon emitter. What's happening there?
From a construction perspective, we're looking at these, as you've just said there, size, nuclear power itself is low carbon energy, but look at these, a 10, 12-year construction programme. So what does that look like for carbon? And I always bring the two things together. So carbon's one thing, and we use carbon in concrete. We're looking at how do we create a diesel-free site. But the other thing that we need to think about, carbon's only one part of our problem. What about nature? So Sizewell itself has had a positive effect on nature, but how do we create that positive effect on nature in our work? So I think when you think about sustainability, there is the triple bottom line to it as well, which includes people, nature, and the carbon part.
Thanks, Nick. And I think there is something called the biodiversity rule now, where if you build a factory or you develop a building and it clears the land, when you built the building, you've got to put more nature back than you remove, something like that, the biodiversity gain rule. Now, young gentlemen, have you thought about your contribution, or is it the wrong moment? Have you got something to say about the green world and the carbon cutting?
Moment, but
Where are you from?
I'm from Fakenham.
Yeah.
So,
Opinion.
yeah, I think the food waste that we use is quite a lot. So I think the biofuels, like from the wastage of like what schools use and stuff, would be quite good. Like for powering factories and stuff, if we can turn the wasted food into biofuels, then it could help.
Good point.
Good point. Yeah. Do you want to say something?
I'll just introduce myself. Yeah, hi, I'm Harry Palmer. I'm from Fakenham. Thank you.
That's not good enough, Harry. Come on, what about some green ideas to decarbonise the world in the hospitality sector?
Yeah, just like Emil was saying, I think it would be like a real good idea if we could like just get all the resources out to just to recycle and like just. You know, my dad has his own engineering company, and I've worked there for a bit, like working on the like milling machines and all that, just for a bit of work experience and for some money. And yeah, it's been pretty good. Yeah. So thanks.
Did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, it was pretty enjoyable. Yeah, just getting into the engineering world, and I've also worked at my granddad's garage, just like working on some cars and all that. So yeah.
Thanks, Harry. Well, look.
Yeah, it's all right.
You guys have a think about the next couple of themes, but there's always more to say about net zero. Obviously, it's such a big theme, and it is a driver for jobs for your generation, guys. Now, what about AI? What about artificial intelligence? Is it? We've touched on it this afternoon, but is it a technological change that induces fear for good reason, or is it something that we just need to learn to live with, like the internet, like I don't know, microwave ovens? 30 years ago, we just learned to live with them, and then we learn to use them, or is it a little bit more nefarious? What do you think? Who wants to take on that question about AI? How can we harness it?
Okay.
Do you want to have a go?
I'm not sure about AI stuff.
I think that with the AI, it's quite good that we can sort of correct like mistakes that humans do by programming the robots to do them more efficiently and quicker than humans, but also it can help by still giving people jobs, like to program these robots to do things that we can't do, because sometimes you can get these dangerous jobs that is dangerous for humans, which robots can take on, which won't cost a life or anything, and could potentially give people more jobs to do.
Very good point.
Good.
Maybe premature for a round of applause, but a bit later perhaps. And also, I think it's worth saying, danger is one point, but also removing, as I think our speaker from British Sugar or Lotus mentioned earlier, you remove a lot of the mundane, boring jobs. I think Will mentioned it, that the work filtering lots of lines of text and code. A computer can do that for you. Okay, so anyone from the audience have a question about AI or net zero specifically that we can put to the panel? Have a think about that. A young gentleman here. Do we have a mic for this young man?
Why won't AI get rid of like jobs in manufacturing and engineering?
I love this one. Well, we've had a number of revolutions over the years. You know, we all thought that, you know, what are we going to do with everyone when a tractor came along? What's going to happen when we have robots in factories? All it's meant is we've got a better standard of life generally for everyone. There will be change. There will be jobs that are displaced, but there'll be, like I said in my talk, there'll be other jobs, better jobs, more enjoyable jobs. I think generally automation is very good at the repetitive tasks. You know, there will be job displacement, but I do think that there will be other jobs that will come along. And actually, you know, you look, we've got an ageing population. People like to be cared for by people. There's not enough people working in care. We've got a shortage of people working in that sector. So, you know, if we've got some spare people displaced from another career, there's plenty of other things for those people to do. And particularly in making things, people are going back to, they like artisan produced things. People want to go to a butcher and see their meat produced, or they want a handbag made by a person. There's a value in that artisan manufacturing. So I think, you know, there will always be enough roles for everyone. There might just be different roles.
What might happen to the people who were doing the repetitive tasks? But would they just be displaced and can't do anything?
No, I think they get better jobs, lifted out of the mundane, repetitive tasks as they were doing before. That's what's happened in our factories. Years ago, people literally drilled every hole and wound every handle. Now they program the machine to do that, and they do more inspection tasks, and they get paid more money. You know, so there will always be, you know, yeah, let's be honest, not everyone can be upskilled, but there will still be some of those tasks, because there will be repetitive tasks in a nature of, like, it's more niche. So I think there will be roles for them.
So different example, and AI is a bit of a term that you can, unless you define what you specifically mean, it can read as different things, anything from robotics to machine learning to actually a machine taking on and extrapolating and making its own ideas. But we have a specific example where we try to, so I'm in construction, and when you're trying to build something, you've tried to build something at home, you figure out what sequence should we do it in, and it said we're trying to move construction into manufacturing, so we've probably got some similarities with some of the other businesses here. But one of our specifics is when you come to the site, you'd say you have to try and figure out what order do we dig out holes, put our foundations in. And with really, really big projects, it's more than your human brain can compute. So we've got a job now, or we now have the ability to use more like machine learning, but to run millions and millions of scenarios that we can't do in our own heads. But that's the computer working for us. So there's no concept of anybody ever losing a job. It's just we get a better outcome, a better output. So the machine's working for us. Different way of looking at it.
Great point. Would you like to make a point about this?
What about AI or something else?
AI, digital technology, how work will change.
Is it okay if I say about something about like for net zero?
Of course.
Yeah. So when I think about sustainability, I think about like what the environment be impacted, especially for us humans, as we usually like use cars, either from petrol or electric. Because when I think about like engineers making like electric cars, I really think it's really, really admirable to make cars that are so complicated, but yet like it's created by a human instead of for a machine. Because let's be honest though, engineering is like really hard and really, really complicated, but it is really still really like something admirable to think about, because it is one of those STEM like fields, especially for like technology, science, and that. So yeah, and especially like for us, me as a girl, because to be honest though, as some girls think that STEM is for smart people, or it's like for men or boys. I like to think it's that STEM as an opportunity for us humans to make the world a better place and for us to breathe properly, especially when I used to suffer with asthma, where I have a difficult time to breathe properly, and especially with like air pollution impacting the world, especially with different regions and different countries. I think that if we make the world a more livable place and a healthier place, we as a society can make us a bit more, sustainable and more in a happier place.
And engineers and technologists are enabling that, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's the point. Yeah, brilliant. Well made.
Well done.
So we've talked about the future of work, and we still are, and routes to employment. But we've got Mary from the Department for Work and Pensions here, and the DWP does a lot of good work in finding jobs for people who perhaps have tried a route through education and further education, or an apprenticeship, and it hasn't worked out. But you're working hard to make sure that as many people in this county and in both counties can get to work.
Thank you. Just to say, well done to everybody here. The idea is that you don't find yourselves in a position where you need support from the Department for Work and Pensions, but unfortunately, some people do, and that can be through all sorts of reasons. It can be that the jobs that they had are no longer available, they don't have the skills for that job any longer, they have a health condition, they find themselves in a tricky position. So we make sure that no one's left behind, and we make sure that there is something for everyone out there. So whether that's being through reskilling, working with our partners, we work really closely with all of our partners and employers to make sure that there is something for everyone at any point in their time for their working life. So I started work a very long time ago, and I started in a shoe shop. And here I am today, sitting here as a Senior Employer and Partnership Manager for the Department for Work and Pensions. It's been a huge learning journey. I've brought up 4 children in amongst that time as well. But realising that there is something for everyone makes you realise that you don't have to start a job and end your career in the same job. It's a lifelong journey, and there is something for everyone, and make the most of all the opportunities that are available for everybody. And like I say, whether you've been unfortunate enough to have a health condition, lose a job, there is something there. Work with us, and we can work with you to make sure that you get back into that labour market.
Brilliant. Thank you. What an excellent panel, hand selected by me. Not really, but well done everyone. You're making some great points. Okay, so I've got a question about the variety of technical industries in Suffolk and Norfolk. The one that springs to mind, of course, is Sizewell. Not just because Sarah's here, but you'll all know about Sizewell. It's been in the news, and nuclear power is back, and I think that's a good thing, but it can be a bit controversial. But also in Norfolk and Suffolk, you've got offshore wind. I think there's the, is it the Gabbertson or the Gabbard offshore? Greater Gabbard. And Anglia 1. East Anglia 1. Yvonne, let me pass the mic.
Sorry, apologies. So yes, again, who did I meet earlier? I met a young man, and he was asking me this question, where is he? He's hiding. There you are, fellow. Hello. So yes, across this region, part of the government's commitment to working towards net zero, you'll have a string of wind turbines around that lovely big bulbous East Anglian coast. So the companies that are behind this is now RWE, German company. It used to be Vattenfall, now RWE. So you've then got Equinor, Norwegian. You've then got Scottish Power, very obviously Scottish, but actually owned by Spain. So all these companies are there. We have got young technicians working offshore on those fields from Norfolk and Suffolk. They absolutely want skill sets from Norfolk and Suffolk. And it's everything from the offshore maintenance and technicians. The big turbines are built not in our area, sadly. You need to go to Humberside to get that skill set with composites. Lots of different skill sets. They absolutely want you as part of their supply chain. Look out for them, please. Research them well. Thank you.
Thanks, Yvonne. But yeah, energy generally is such a big employer, isn't it? So, I mean, can I just ask the audience something? Who here clearly, I imagine most of you have been inspired by something today, but specifically on the technical and technician routes that perhaps British Sugar mentioned, the process engineering and process technician, the electrical technician routes, and engineering generally. Who's been sort of interested in that as a potential job or career? Come on, you can put your hand straight up if you... Yeah, there's a few out there. And more broadly in sort of chemical engineering and mechanical engineering, who was in... I know that the guys from Lotus had a long line of students asking them questions, and Swift. Anyone here wants to work in the car industry, building cars, or... Yeah, that's got a few good hands. And maybe F1, motor racing, also aviation, yeah. So between us, there's plenty of people here who are really interested in a manufacturing or engineering career. Okay, next question. Pay. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Have a look at this. UK and Suffolk. UK average is a little bit higher in manufacturing than the average in Suffolk, but only by about £1,000 a year. But I can tell you that if you compare that to the average salary for all industries, or including services, you can see at the bottom, £29,000. Manufacturing is a clear £6,000 ahead, which is, what's that, about 20%, maybe 18% of the total. So that's a big, significant pay increase on the average pay in the economy. Jean, would you like to take a question? I think Jennifer's going to give you a mic.
Sorry. Can I stand up? Yeah? No, sit down. Okay, stand up. Can I just say, I think that's the starting salaries, isn't it?
It's average, actually.
Yeah, the average starting. Can I just say the average teacher now, even with a pay increase, only starts on 30k. So unless you're aware of that, kids, that's quite high, actually. Okay.
It's surprising, isn't it? Manufacturing jobs are well paid. Yeah. It's not everyone realises that. Okay, so we covered net zero, we covered the breadth of industries, and I mean, Will and Jed, I think you made a really strong presentation. In terms of employability generally, when you've become qualified, I mean, Jed's with Warren now, let's hope you stay, but you've got the skills now to take you to other places if you wish to. Do you feel like you're well equipped to go, to expand your career?
Yeah. I think a big part of that is going around different areas of the business. Having all the different skills you learn along the way will help transfer to different companies, because if you only learn one thing along the way and you try and go somewhere else that only does the other things that you could have learned with that company, you've then missed out and you wouldn't have the starting skills that you could have adapted to sooner than if you didn't go around to all the different areas of that business.
Yeah.
I think as well, it's about most manufacturing businesses that employ lots of apprentices know that they won't all stay. No, like this gentleman said, one of been with us for 7 years, very highly trained, then left to go to British Sugar. But he will maybe stay at British Sugar, he may go somewhere else, he may be at British Sugar and think, oh, Warren could help us build this thing. Or so it's not about, we had a party to, say goodbye to him. There's another young lad that left us. I have dinner with him sometimes. It's, it's a manufacturing community. It's not. Our belief is, I try and encourage other businesses to train apprentices. And they go, well, they might leave. I said, but if you don't train them, you're not going to get any. So you're in even more of a muddle. So I think normally companies, well, like this gentleman said, you lose some, and some will go size well, but if we all train more, and I think I want to say something to these young people is, any job is better than no job. When you're thinking about what to do, get a job at McDonald's or go to Tesco's or clean cars or do anything. It doesn't matter, because when you come to an employer and they say, what are you doing at the moment? You go, oh yeah, I'm working full time at McDonald's while I'm trying to find my perfect job. We're like, great, we want to employ you. I remember a young lady said to me, yeah, but all I've ever done is look after children, babysitting. I'm like, great, you're obviously trusted. If I trusted you with my child, I'm going to trust you with my £1 million machine. So any relevant work experience, and I saw a few people put their hand up for F1, and just backing up what Yvonne said, if you go into a manufacturing or engineering career, there will always be work for you. You will always find a job. But if you want your perfect job, you're going to have to do the extra. You're going to have to be doing, if you want to work in motorsport, if you're not helping someone at the weekend with a stock car or free of charge, working for nothing, or a little race team or something, that's the difference. It's those connections, doing that extra stuff if you really want that perfect career.
And volunteer as well. Any voluntary work looks fabulous on your CV. We always look for that on CVs.
You just need to make sure your mic's on. Yeah. Is it on? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so about the pay thing, I think it is something as humans that we look for when in job. Because let's be honest though, the living houses of the bills, rent, food, it has to be in the most, meets our needs, because no one wants to be homeless or living in poverty, because that would be not really good. So I think having a job that at least has a good pay would be good for a starting life, especially for like STEM or non-STEM jobs. Because let's be honest, like in this whole world, every world and like even within the country is like a very complex world with many opportunities to shoot on, like engineering or a environmental scientist, which I will become, and like that. So yeah, that's what I'm going to say.
I think. Go on, no, go
that's
for
fine.
it.
No, sorry,
Yeah.
forgive me. Can I just ask you? You very kindly told me earlier. that
Yeah.
You have a vision. You have an ambition.
Hmm.
Could you tell your lovely colleagues out here how you came to that point? You know where you're going. Well done.
Yeah. Okay. So from where I'm from, interestingly, I was born in the North England, like Sarah is. Like I'm born in Barrow-in-Furness in Lake District, Cumbria, and then at the age of 3, I started to move in Fakenham because that's what my dad did for his own business and I own like Chinese takeaway called Tinyo. Some of you might heard it, some of you of not, but that's okay because that's the thing. So when I was young, I was like an avid like TV watcher of like CBBC, of like learning like children programs of like what Wild and Weird, Operation Ouch, and like that. So yeah, that's all what made me interested of like biology and geography as well. And then within that, and then in high school, I get like a whole interest of geography and biology. And then A level, I started to pick off A level art, by A-level biology and A-level geography. Wait, did I repeat that? Sorry.
Yes, if you did.
Yeah. All right. So at the year 12, I was either having a little inner conflict of like, who I want to be, like either want to be a curator in an art museum or an environmental scientist, because where I want to go, I want to live in Hong Kong, where my family live, because well, before COVID, like once a year, I go to my family to visit in China, especially in Hong Kong, because it's where my family live, and it's quite fun actually, because in Hong Kong, like in Kowloon Bay, there is like lots of mountains.
It's a great story. I'm just interested if you could be brief. Have you watched today's content and thought, I'm interested in manufacturing as a career?
Well, to be honest though, I wasn't really well educated about manufacturing as a child. It's just like about the human anatomy and geography.
And after today, do you think it's something you'll explore as a job?
I feel like it's something like I would love to learn about, especially as an environmental scientist.
Thank you so much. And Zach, in terms of what Will was saying about that wider piece of empathy with people who come to knock on the door at British Sugar for a job, can you comment on that? So it's not just about hard qualifications and I've got this list of letters after my name. It's actually more about, well, what are you looking for in people?
So yeah, we absolutely recruit a full range of people. Yeah, I've got a degree, but there are plenty of people who come out similar to the stories here, 3 GCSEs, didn't know what they wanted to do. The most important bit is they went out and got some experience. They went out and tried some things. They learned some things from what they tried. McDonald's is a great example. McDonald's is one of the most fantastic production lines ever created, one of the most refined processes ever built. So if you can learn that and figure out how they've done that, then you've learned something really valuable that is transferable to sugar, is transferable to building a car on an assembly line. There's those sort of experiences are really key to us, and the fact that you have an inquisitive mind and you're curious about these things and ask those questions, that was what will make you good in an interview scenario or an assessment centre. That sort of mindset, the willingness to learn more, and being open to every opportunity, that's what we really look for. Combine that with just general behaviours, how you interact with others, how you manage in a team scenario, and beyond that, leadership characteristics. I think that's sort of where some of these were going around career opportunities as well. Engineering is a small tool in your career toolkit. It's a starter. Yeah. It's what gets you through the door. It's what lets you speak the same language. The true skills you learn if you want to advance in career around leadership, dealing with people, managing people. That's one of the greatest things about British Sugar. It gives you so much accountability, responsibility early on, that you build those skills within the first couple of years of your employment. So it really sets you up for careers further in business or in other businesses.
That's a fantastic point, isn't it? As a foundation, it's such a door opener, really. And have you, lads, I was going to ask you if you wanted to say another point, but does that make sense to you about the keep busy, get a job, any job is good, and be active and proactive about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm obviously no factory manager or anything, but I don't think GCSE should define if you can do a job or not, because I know, like, for a fact, I can get my GCSEs and I can work well, but outside of school, if I want to learn something, I'll put my mind to it and learn about that thing. So I don't think GCSE should define whether you can do a job or not, but if you do get the proper training for that job, then you can learn to do that job without the qualifications that you need.
That's a good point. Yeah, vocational, but try and get your grades as well. Yeah, try and do good at school. Sarah.
Just a quick one on the recruitment. Is that?
Yeah, just close to your mouth, please.
Okay, so on the recruitment, I think qualifications are important, but we didn't all get them. And something that we really look for is two things: attitude and aptitude. So people have talked about volunteering or just getting a job, but basically, if you come along and you're self-starting, you've got some ideas, then that will go a long way. So don't try and fit. What am I trying to say? Don't try and fit something prescribed that you think you're hearing. Be you. Take you and your passions and what you really care about, and then you'll get the right job.
Yeah. Can I just ask you? Obviously, Sizewell C is in build. It's going to be here for decades, and you will have a lot of schools outreach. Do you know much about that at this stage, what you're offering to schools and colleges about visits and engagement and showing the nuclear process? Is there something you know about that yet?
There is, so from a formal perspective, we have been called Young Sizewell.
Close enough.
Oh, so Young Sizewell is designed for you people to connect directly to the project. So I think the outreach is still working through, but we're actually I think Nikos is gone, but we're working with the local colleges and education providers to try and make the what's going on in schools and colleges relevant to you and relevant to us. So yeah, lots going on, and you can start finding out now, really.
So your schools and colleges can connect to and find about...
Yeah, you can connect to Young Sizewell, or you can connect to me and Claire or the rest of the Sizewell C team directly if you're interested, because my talk was quite high level because the breadth of opportunities that we have to offer is huge. And one of the things that we also think about, you're just finishing school now, but by the time Sizewell C is commissioned, you'll be well into your careers. So somebody who wants to stay local, we're trying to figure out how do we give a path from somebody working on the early stages of construction all the way through to commissioning and potentially operation, and you've got the chance to shape that.
And I wonder if there are any potential nuclear physicists in this room right now. Who knows? We could be looking at a few of them as I speak. Who knows? Okay. Yeah, please do. Get me off the mic.
Yeah. A number of people said it, and your grades will not define your career path, but English and maths, I imagine all of you are capable of getting, is it a 4 or 5, whatever it is now. It used to be a C in my day. If you don't get it at 16, you will have to do it again. It will not define you, but you will just have to do it again. So I'm just saying to all of you, I'm really, really dyslexic. I struggled with English at school. Maths was easy. I got my English grades. It's one of those things, it will not define you, but you will have to do it again. So make your life easier and just knuckle down. And I'm sure all these teachers here will want to see you get your English and maths because, it looks good for the school.
Well said, well said. Now, yes, can we have a question from this gentleman here, Jennifer? And guys, I know it's been a long day. We're nearly finished, students.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Just think about a question that you could ask in the next 10 minutes before we wrap up, guys.
I'm coming to the end of my career, and when I was at school, we had machinery in the schools. We had lathes, we did forging, we did everything, made tools. Now I work in a school, they've got nothing. And I just want you to explain to these young children who are probably a lot of them are not going to go to university and they're going to be looking for jobs in your sector, what to expect when they get there. Are there training centres out there for them? Do you have training centres in your premises? Do you teach them the skills of the hand that I was taught as a child? Mm-hmm. I can do technical drawing when I was 16. These kids are doing it on computers. Yeah. Do they have the understanding of these things? Yeah. Is it out there? Are the skills I've got, I can pass it on to them, but I haven't got the tools to do it.
Okay. Well,
Are you offering that to the young kids that are coming out to you.
Training centres that can bridge between school and work. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so you've hit the nail on the head, and we have to hope that our new government is listening to that very point, because it is a point that we are going to be making loud and clear. We're very fortunate to be part of the university technical movement. Nationally, there's about 20,000 students. When we got the money out of the government for Norwich, we got 10 million for the project, and we got $1 million for engineering kit. So we are like this. We're a hanger. Sorry?
Can we have some?
Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying. There is a way. We are working on something that will actually give you a hub and spoke opportunity to have access to that tooling. We have some of the latest CNC machines. We have full welding simulators. We have bits of aircraft to work on, bits of ships to work on. Tractors come in regularly. So we cover all the sectors that are active in Norfolk and Suffolk. But basically, what you need is engineering kit. So if the government can't give it to you, we're going to be turning to industry. And if industry can't give it to us, we'll look at the worshipful companies, and we'll look at the charities, the charitable trusts, because we absolutely believe you need some kit in schools. UTC, the students fight to come to us because there are no behaviour issues. Everybody is in, focused, heads down, because they love what we get them to do. They get a mix of work in the workshop and a mix of academia. They turn out Ofsted good. They turn out basically with good exam results, but they have access to tools from lathes and upwards, robotics included. We're doing the most T-levels in the country. So that's what we need more of. So I am going to be working with UTC National to make sure we get more of them around the country, because they work.
It's needed now, though.
Hugely.
She's there. All she's got is a laser printer.
Yeah.
That's and a bandsaw and a pillar drill.
Okay. I give you my word. I will speak to, we have over 80 companies backing UTC. I will speak to them all and say, is there anything they can do wider than UTC to get some machinery into your schools for you to work with?
That's what we need.
Provided you've got the DT teachers that can deliver it. And if you haven't, you need a Will that's prepared to come out with his staff and help train you.
We need both. I mean, we need outreach, and we need people to come to us, because we're too far away from Norwich, and we cannot get our children to Norwich. We need to bring stuff in. We've got the kids, they want to do it, and they're more than willing, and you can see they've got them on the stage here today, but we just haven't got anything. And we are desperately appealing for people to come in, like with ProTrain days, get some ProTrain consultants or some future of work consultants in alongside people, working with them, robots club, or just a making club, because half of my guys never made anything till I walked in through the door. They hadn't had a teacher for 2 years. So we just need the stuff, and we need the kit, and we need the help, please. And just one more question. How many engineers here today are dyslexic? Because it's amazing. We all are.
It's a power, right? Superpower. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a super. But the schools have got to make it easier for companies. You know, we work very a lot with Thetford Academy because that's our local school, and we go out of our way to keep trying. Lots of other companies will try, and if the door isn't open, they're like, I've got better things to do. So I know what you're saying. You're probably different, but I think we've got to think of a better way of working together, because you know there's amazing opportunities out there.
So we're going to wrap up really quickly. I've just got a couple of things to say to finish, but if we have 1 minute before the wrap-up housekeeping notes, one question: how can education better connect to industry? There's lots of STEM engagement activities. I mean, this has been a good event. I hope you'll agree. But how can teaching better connect to companies?
Okay, so first of all, you need to have visibility of who those companies are and where they are. That's a big blocker. Trying to get into view these supply chains, trying to get into view who are these companies, that's not something that's taught in education, and sometimes industry isn't that open to letting that happen because they don't have the capacity. So how we work that going forward, it is a project that is underway, absolutely. So I think Sarah's aware of it as well. We are working on this to get the supply chains out and visible. Then we need to connect you with those ones that are giving social value back, that have the ability to work with you. Not all companies do. So it's hand-picking the companies that do have that opportunity and that ability.
And we've met several here today.
We have, and we are working on lists of who they are.
This young man would like to take the question.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some factories out there that would be willing to like donate some people to come for like a day to a school to give talks to people, do like assemblies, and maybe help in the classrooms to help them with the DT and stuff and teach them things that they don't learn, or even go to their factories for days to visit or stuff like that.
Bring their equipment, if it's practical, into the classroom perhaps, and run a class for some of the teachers to give Jean and Kate a break, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. For example, Haas Engineering are working on a classroom in a box.
Okay.
You know, their CNC machines, they're out of date in 6 weeks. The technology within them, the automation is out of date in 6 weeks. It's being upgraded all the time. There's no point them putting 35 grand's worth of kit in a school. It's out of date. What they want is a means to give you up to date, which has to be AI, AR. Basically, it's the XR lab next door here. It's means of doing it. We do most of our training in shipping in augmented reality. We prepare all the guys to go on the ship before they go on the ship. Yeah. This is what we need to be thinking of. What if we can't physically walk in your door, no matter where you are? What can we bring to you in virtual reality? And did you know, by the way, that LinkedIn, please use LinkedIn, you guys, get out there now, 11,000 different training materials are up, free service online. Look for it, please.
That's amazing. 11,000 free they courses, sorry, or facilities?
Young man's got his hand.
Ah, brilliant.
Well, I've got a question for these two young gentlemen over here. So you know how earlier we were talking about, even though you don't know what career you want, you should still be working at a place, for example, McDonald's or KFC. At what age do you think you should start working part-time?
Well, I think the age 15 or 14, just to get like a weekend job or a summer job. Like I myself at 16, well I got it at 15, but have a summer job and a weekend job. And I think it does give you an idea of what work is like. And I think variety in your work, and that you can, not so much fun, but that you enjoy it, which makes you want to go to work to actually work there, instead of just like waking up in the morning and thinking, I don't want to go, but you're actually excited to go to work, and it can help you with your mind as a young child to actually get into that life of what work is actually like.
Definitely. Harry?
Good point.
Yeah. So for me, I got a summer or a half-term job, and I just done it for a bit of money, but it's also like helping me for like the helping me for like the future, okay. To like see like to get an actual like idea of like what that job is, and like what is like done, and what future job I want to do,
and expectations on you as a member of staff. Yeah. Great, thank you so much. Richard, a really quick question, then we have to wrap up, please. Come to the front. This is a legend of Suffolk and Norfolk engineering.
The answer is here today. More companies have got to be like Warren Services. You know, we go out of our way, and percentage-wise, I bet we do far more than you and you and you and you. You know, and that's the truth, I can assure you. And this lady here, I've worked with her. How many years ago was it?
23.
But the thing is, with Norfolk had the equipment up there before, but nobody could use it. And then it's given somewhere else, and it's mothballed somewhere else. Yeah. I know.
Well, listen, thanks, Richard. It's a really good point. I think we've run out of time. And I won't ask everyone to leave the stage. I'm just going to do the closing notes. You'll be pleased to hear. I mean, first of all, thank you very much for coming today. It's a Friday afternoon. Your minds are probably on the weekend, but thank you for your time. And thank you very much indeed to the speakers, to Paul, as well as all the people on the stage who spoke, to Lotus and to Sizewell C and to Swift. Yes, young man, do you want to?
Thank you for bringing us here.
It's very kind of you. My, that's very sweet of you, but look, you can repay me by like learning from this and asking more questions when you leave, okay? Because you guys are the future. But thank you to all the speakers and to Eastern Education Group. I hope you found today inspiring, and it's important at the end of an event like this to say, what next? So if you want to learn, this is to the teachers, more about further education, I would suggest you contact the people who are hosting us today, West Suffolk College and the Eastern Education Group. Come to us for their, I mean, it's on the internet obviously, but the individuals we can introduce you to. Apprenticeships, I mean, come and speak to Will Bridgman at Warren and his father Richard. They'll know all about apprenticeships. But contact us if you need other contacts in the apprenticeships field, and also contact the companies who spoke today. I'm sure they'd be willing to hear from you. So get in touch with us for their contact details, emails, and phone numbers. Now, if you've got a few minutes before your coach arrives or your transport arrives, we'd love your feedback. And we've got a very, very short survey which you can use through the power of technology. You've all got a mobile phone, no doubt. There are some signs over between those two doors over there, by the camera there on that library stand, and at the back as you go out with a QR code. I don't know why I'm showing you that. That doesn't have a QR code, but it's right there. If you could scan it on your phone, please. You don't have to answer it right now, but it'll take you to a link, and it will be a quick survey, less than 2 minutes, 5 questions about today. It'd be really helpful if you can do that this weekend. Scan the barcode, fill in the survey, and send it in. Brilliant. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a good weekend.